All right, we're back on the 21 Seconds podcast. I'm your host, Colt White, looking at California Breeders' Championship night on this one out at Los Al. If you haven't already, go check out that TQHA Sale Futurity preview, looking at that race, the Retama Park Derby, TQHA Classic, and others on that one. But let's get right into California Breeders' Championship night on this quick episode here. Let's kick it off with race one on the card. That is the California Juvenile Gold Rush Stakes for just open 2-year-olds. I figured it'd be Calbred. $25,000 purse, 350 yards. The distance, the field of 6, and I went with the 4 on top. Amir Andrea, daughter of Amir Felix, out of Jess Hawk by One Sweet Jess for owners EG High Desert Farms LLC. Jesus Nunez, the trainer, and the jockey Jesus Ayala. 1 for 3 this year's Amir Andrea finished third against Maiden Company at first asking back in April. Also was third in the Edinburgh Million trials at the end of May. Came back to win the Edinburgh Juvenile, though, last time out. Managed to get up and win by a head after breaking in and bumping at the start. Managed to hold off Standing with Pride and Midnight Rambler. Earner of just over $15,000 now in Amir Andrea. Second, I'll take the 1 Call Me Candela. It's the daughter of Call Me Cole out of the favorite cartel mare, DF First Down Cartel for owner breeder Miguel Osorio. Jose Flores, the trainer, the jockey, Jose Alcala. 3 for 5 is Call Me Candela this year. One second time out to break her maiden in a trial for the Kindergarten Futurity. Came back to upset the Grade 2 finals. Also won a trial for the Edinburgh Million, qualifying to that Grade 1 event and finished 8th. That was last time out. Hit the gate at the start and didn't show much after that, of course. Kind of knocked herself out there. Earner of $143,000 going into the Gold Rush. And then for third, I'll go to the 5 Black Magic. This is a daughter of favorite cartel out of the Kitty Up mare, Up For It. Colleen Ledgerwood, the owner, Cesar de Alba, the trainer, the jockey, Irving Lara. 1 for 2 this year, won at first asking against Maiden Company in May. Bumped a bit at the start in that one, but powered home and kicked clear to win by a length and a quarter and post a 90 speed index on debut as well. And then in the Edinburgh trials last time out, was beaten in that trial by the eventual winner of the Edinburgh Million, CV FDD Dynasty Shan. Was beaten a neck in that one, broke out a bit and was a game second behind that one. Looking for any recent works. July 15th, 220 and 1250 was 5th fastest of 8 for Black Magic. So 415 in the Gold Rush. And then race 2 is the Genzel List Junior Memorial California Breeder Stakes. Bit of a mouthful there. 3-year-old California breds here for a $30,000 purse, 400 yards the distance. I went with the 1 Next Norco as the top selection. Gelding by favorite cartel out of the Corona cartel mare, Moonlight Corona. Ed Allred, the owner breeder, Scott Willoughby, the trainer, the jockey, Oscar Peinado. 5 starts this year, hadn't gotten a win so far this year. It's had a bit of troubles. Ran a couple of seconds, though, against Allowance Company. A look back at last year, was a finalist in the Grade 1 Governors Cup Futurity there at Los Al, and has earned nearly $20,000 now. Is looking to get back on the right track here with the 1 win, looking for number 2 on Sunday night. Second, I'll go to the 2 SG Jacob J, a colt by favorite cartel from the Stoli mare, Ancient Empress. Shane Giles, the owner, Adon Farias, the trainer, the jockey, Jesus Ayala. 2 for 4 this year's SG Jacob J picked up a Derby trial win for the Los Al Winter Derby, qualified to the Grade 1 finals, ended up 6th, and then won the James Smith Memorial back in April. Last time out was in that Governors Cup Derby trial. Didn't show that night, drifted out a bit and lost the path, and didn't have much of a shot from there. Just 1-4 lifetime from 9 attempts in SG Jacob J. And then for third, I'll go to the 6 Warmly on the outside. It's a gelding by favorite cartel from the Walkthrough Fire mare, Warm and Secret. Ed Allred, the owner breeder, Scott Willoughby, the trainer, the jockey, Gabriel Lara. This will be the debut this year for Warmly. Last year was pretty consistent. Picked up a win against Maiden Company second time out. Also picked up an allowance win and was third in a few trials, but didn't have the luck to qualify to those. Did work most recently on July 10th, 350 and 1810 was the fastest of 2 on the day for Warmly. And that is 1, 2, 6 in the Gens L List Memorial. Next up, we have the restricted Grade 3 California Breeders Rolling A Ranch Stakes. $50,000 purse for the fillies and mares. Of course, bred in California, going 350 yards, another field of six. I went with the four, Quick She Is, on top, a daughter of Kitty Up, out of the unusual heat mare, Miss Lugine. Ed Allred, the owner breeder, Scott Willoughby, the trainer, jockey Gabriel Lara. Six starts on the year. Has been pretty good this year, really. Only been off the board the one time. Second against the Allowance Company a pair of times. Was fourth in the Miss Princess Handicap, a grade two. Then won an allowance last time out. That was going 350 yards. Won by a half length there after breaking in a bit at the start. Last year, and the Derbies didn't do too hot. Did pretty well against allowance rivals. Was a finalist in the Justin O. Love Handicap as well. And as a 2-year-old, I'll go back there. No stakes appearances there either, but again, was pretty consistently on the board, and Quick She Is. 23 attempts lifetime, 3 wins, 7 seconds, and 2/3, and nearly 50,000 in earnings. Second, I'll go to the 5 Deluxe Cartel. Filly by Amir Felix. Out of the one famous Eagle mare, Jessa Deluxe, Jesus Castro and Juan Castro, the owners. Valentin Zamudio trains, and Ruben Castro will be, Ruben Lozano, not Ruben Castro, Ruben Lozano aboard. Only one start this year was against Allowance Company on July the 12th. Ended up getting up to win by a nose after a bit of a bump at the start and a duel with Special Batch to win there. Last year was runner-up in the California Breeders' Debutante Stakes. We'll talk more about that race for this year here in a moment. Picked up an allowance win last year. Not a whole lot of stakes appearances, but another one that has been very consistent. 3 wins, 3 seconds, 3/3 from 14 attempts. So I'll go with Deluxe Cartel in there for my second choice. And then we'll go to the outside to Mumball for my third choice. Another one here by Amir Felix out of the one famous Eagle mare, High Plains Sky, for owners E.G. High Desert Farms. Jesus Nunez, the trainer, jockey Jesus Ayala. 3 for 7 lifetime. Another one making the 2026 debut here. Last year won a maiden second time out. That was back in May of last year. Picked up an allowance win, a couple of allowance wins as well, and had some trial performances. Just didn't have the luck there. 3 wins, 1 second, and a third from 7 attempts. 22,000 earnings for Mumball. Race 5 is the California Breeders' Debutante Stakes. Fillies, 3-year-olds, bred in California, $30,000 purse, 350 yards of distance, another field of 6. I ended up going with the 4. You Are the Best. This one by Favorite Cartel. She's out of the separate interest mare, Remember You. Bradbury Racing, the owners. Paul Jones, the trainer, and the jockey Irving Lara. This one's had 6 starts already this year. Won a maiden first time out of the year back in January. A couple of thirds, including in the trials for the Los Alamitos Oaks. Finished 5th in the Grade 1 finals of that one. Then picked up another allowance win a couple races back and was 3rd back on June 21st last time out. Beating a little over a length for the whole thing. Was a bit fractious and had an awkward start as well, but still had a nice 3rd. Second, I'll go to the 6 Leticia. Filly by Amir Felix out of the Bail Me Out baby mare, Letty Bail Regis Out. Another one for E.G. High Desert Farms and trainer Jesus Nunez and jockey Jesus Ayala. Only start this year was back in June, early June that is. Ran second against Allowance Company behind Check-In Eagle. Was beaten a half length for the whole thing after a bit of a brush at the start, but was a nice game second there. Last year, picked up a maiden win, 3rd time out. Another one that's been in the top group of horses all her career, and just hadn't had quite the luck that they're hoping for. And they'll be hoping for that on Sunday night for Leticia. And then for third, I'll go to the 1 Went to London. A daughter of Favorite Cartel out of the Walkthrough Fire mare, London Laura. Another one for Ed Allred and Scott Willoughby. Gabriel Lara with the call. 1 for 3 this year. Picked up a maiden win a couple of races back. That was in May. Ended up holding on to win by a neck in that one after hitting the gate a bit at the start as well, and finished second against allowance rivals last time out behind She's a Cholitos, beating a nose there. Broke pretty slow and had a big rally to just miss, and that one 4 went to London. So 4-6-1 in the debutante, 4-5-6 in the rolling A ranch. Let's get into some of the big ones here. The last three on Breeders' Championship night. This is the restricted Grade 1 Spencer Childers California Breeders' Championship. 3-year-olds and up, California bred, $100,000 purse, 400 yards the distance. And we've got a field of 8. Start with the 3. The old man of the field, Cattail Cove, my top selection. A gelding by Favorite Cartel out of Katie Catella by Separatist. Ralph Newcomb, the owner. Juan Alleman, the trainer. The jockey, Martin Arriaga. Not going to go over this one's whole resume here. It's just way too much that this one's accomplished. Earner of nearly 900,000 now. Has had a really good year this year. Really the last couple of years. Last year won this race, so he looks to defend his title there. Also won a couple other stakes last year. The Moonist, the Independence Day, was 4th in the Go Man Go, and First Down Dash as well. This year won the Kaweah Bar back in April. Managed to get up by a nose after breaking in a bit at the beginning, and then was runner-up in the Grade 1 Vessels Maturity last time out behind Lethal Cowboy 1, 2, 3. Managed to pull clear from him by 3/4 of a length. A game second, though, in that one. They really didn't come close besides him, and those two had the best shot in that one. One of my favorites, a 14-time winner from 62 lifetime attempts. Really anxious to see how Cattail Cove does Sunday night. Also going to take the 5 winner share. Gelding by Separate Interest out of the One Sweet Jess Mare, One Sweet Winner, owned by Steve Burns, Mike Castleman, the trainer, the jockey Ruben Lozano. 4 starts this year, ran second and then won an allowance first couple times out this year, and then had a bit of time off before running second to Cattail Cove in that Kaweah Bar, and was 6th in the Independence Day last time out. Head was pretty high at the start and ended up losing his path pretty early in that one. It ended up being a pretty tough race. Last year was also a finalist in the Azure 3, was second in the California Breeders' Sprint on this night a year ago. Was in the Kaweah Bar last year as well, and the Governors Cup Derby before that. Another one with a pretty good resume here. Has won 4 times from 11 seconds and a third from 31 attempts, nearing that $100,000 mark in earnings. Third, I'm going to go to the 7. That's defending champ. It's a gelding by Favorite Cartel from the one famous Eagle mare, Eagle on the Fly. Another one for Ed Allred and Scott Willoughby. Gabriel Lara with the call on this one as well. Bit of tough luck this year for defending champ so far. Finished 8th in that winter championship. Was off slow in that one and lost his shot there. And then the Vessels last time out, another Grade 1. Ended up 6th in that one. Also slow out of the gate, so hoping to see a better break out of him on Sunday. Another one that's had a pretty good career. Ran second in the Golden State Derby last year. Won the Governors Cup Derby. Was also runner-up in the El Primero Delano Derby as a 3-year-old as well. 5 wins, 4 seconds, and a third from 18 attempts, and nearing 180,000 in earnings for defending champ. And then for 4th, I'll go to the 2 Cheater. Gelding by Favorite Cartel from the Hawkinson mare, Forgive Him. Another one for Ed Allred and Scott Willoughby. Ricardo Ramirez will be aboard this one. It's had 3 outs this year. Couple of seconds against Allowance Company, and then was 3rd in that Kaweah Bar. Last year had a couple allowance victories, finalists in a couple of stakes, including the Golden State Derby. Won the Ginzel list a couple of years ago, so is very familiar with this night. Connections looking for another big performance from Cheater on Sunday. Nearing 70,000 earnings now, has been first, second, or third, 13 of 17 tries for Cheater. So I went 3 Cattail Cove, 5 winner share, 7 defending champ, 2 Cheater, and the Spencer Childers. Moving on to the restricted Grade 2 Governors Cup Derby. It's race 7 on the card. 400 yards of distance for these California-bred 3-year-olds. We've got a full field of 10. Hard to pick against the 9. Doodah Cartel, probably going to be heavily favored in this one. Favorite Cartel Colt from the Apolitical Jess Mare, Sweet Expectations for Thompson Racing, Alexis Andrade, and Paul Jones. Of course, Paul Jones trains, and Henry Lopez will be aboard. He's 5 for 5 this year. Has been outstanding. Already picked up a couple of Derby wins in the Grade 1 Los Al Winter Derby and the Grade 2 El Primero Delano Derby. maybe not quite the dominant performance a lot were expecting in the trials last time out, but still managed to win by a half length and was barely asked in that one. It seems like he's got a lot left in the tank heading into the Governor's Cup finals. Of course, he had a good year last year too, but he's just hit a whole new level this year. He was fourth in the Edberg Million last year. Was also a finalist in the PCQHRA Breeders' Futurity, fourth in the Golden State Million as well, and he's earned about 345,000 now. Has won 7 out of 15. Second, I'll take the 4, Brother Ray, a gelding by Favorite Cartel from the Check Him Out mare, Tack Out. Steve Burns, Jose Flores, and Gerardo Herrera, the owners. Jose Flores trains, Irving Lara with the call. One that's been a bit overshadowed by Dudok Cartel this year. Matter of fact, ran second to him already in the El Primero Delano Derby back in March. Had a bit of a break before this Governor's Cup. Didn't get off to the best start in the trial. Bumped a bit early, drifted a little bit as well, but ran big late to win by 3/4 over Shining New, one we'll mention here in a moment. Last year, this one was a finalist in the 2 million, ended up sixth in that one. Also a finalist in the Governor's Cup Futurity last year and earned just over 150,000 so far in Brother Ray. Third, I'll take the 1 mare Humdinger, a gelding by MP Shining from the Favorite Cartel, mare Mindy's favorite, for owner, breeder, trainer Mike Castleman. Martin Arriaga with the call. Only a couple of starts this year. Picked up an allowance win in late May, won by a neck there, and then was second in the trials for this one behind Dudok Cartel last time out. Ran a game second, really came on late to give him a run for his money, and that one really impressed me enough to include him on my selections here. Won the Governor's Cup Futurity last year, so looks for the double on Sunday night. Not sure how many have accomplished that, but I can't imagine it's been very many. Tough couple of races to capture. Been first or second 5 of 6 tries, though, despite those limited starts, and has earned 122,000 now in Mare Humdinger. And then fourth, I'll go to the 7 Shiny New, one we mentioned a moment ago, a daughter of MP Shining out of Corky by Stel Corona. M&G Farms Incorporated and Steve Burns, the owners. Valentin Zamudio, the trainer, the jockey, Ruben Lozano. 5 outs on the years, picked up the 1 win, and that came against Allowance Company early. Did qualify for the Los Al Oaks, finished 7th in those finals, a finalist in the La Pacifica Handicap as well, and then was runner-up behind Brother Ray in that trial, beaten 3/4 of a length. Broke sharply, just kind of faded a bit late to Brother Ray. Might have a little more air in her now. This one was third in the Edberg Million last year as well, so no slouch here. 155,000 earnings for Shining New. So I got 9 Dudok Cartel, 4 Brother Ray, 1 Mare Humdinger, and 7 Shining New as my picks in the Governor's Cup Derby. The headliner on California Breeders' Night is the restricted Grade 1 Governor's Cup Futurity. This one for the 2-year-old Calbreds, going 350 yards for $285,000 in a field of 8. In the finals here, the way I understood it, we had a couple that bled in the trials, including the fastest qualifier, Golden Token, and that's why they're not running back in the finals, unfortunately. I really did like Golden Token, was going to be my top selection, but I ended up going with the 6 instead, Nice Laura. It's a daughter of Favorite Cartel out of London Laura by Walk Through Fire, another one for Ed Allred. James Glenn Jr. conditions this one, and Cesar Ortega will have the call. 3 starts on the year. Finished third first time out against Maiden Company. Had a bump start and was just out finished in that one. And then next time against Maiden Company, actually ran worse, drifted in towards the gap, and, can't really do that. It kind of cost you quite a bit of length in that one, but then came back strong in the Futurity trials here. Best race so far. Way well in that one. Pretty easy victory for Nice Laura in that one. Might be on the right track now with that 3/4 length victory. Second, I'll go to the 5 Contentious, a daughter of Favorite Cartel out of Corky by Stel Corona. Jose Santos and Manuel Chavez, the owners. Paul Jones trains, jockey Eduardo Nicasio. 2 for 4 this year. Picked up a maiden win at first asking. Also won a trial for the Kindergarten Futurity and qualified to the finals, but was one of them scratched out of that one. Finished second in the Ed Burke trials as well. Didn't have any luck qualifying and was second in this Governor's Cup trial behind Quite Perfect. Beaten 3/4 of a length there after a bump start, but was much the best after that. A length and a quarter ahead of the rest of the field. Third, I'll go to the 3 Still Standing Philly by Favorite Cartel out of Remember the Rose by Walk Through Fire. Ed Allred, the owner, James Glenn Jr., the trainer, the jockey Oscar Peinado, 2 for 3 this year. Won at first asking against Maiden Company in May, won by a half length there after drifting in a bit. Was fourth in the Ed Burt trials, behind a few that ended up qualifying to the finals there. Again, had a little bit of trouble in that one. And then managed to win the trial for the Governors Cup last time out. Broke on top and didn't look back. Drifted in a tad, but was able to hold on by a neck in the end. And then for fourth, I'll go to the 7, Quite Perfect. A gelding by Golden Boy out of Nearly Perfect by Separate Interest. Lex Fabrizio, the owner. Juan Alleman, the trainer. The jockey Martin Arriaga. This one is 2 for 5. Didn't get on the winning track until a couple of races back, but has since won back-to-back. Has only been off the board one time, though. Uh, won that maiden back on June 6th by a half length. Clean race there. And then in the trials last time out, broke from the rail. Drifted out a bit, but was a convincing winner by 3/4 of a length there over Contentious. So in the Governor's Cup Futurity, I'm going 6, Nice Laura, 5, Contentious, 3, Still Standing, and 7, Quite Perfect. 6, 5, 3, 7 in the Governor's Cup, and that'll wrap up this one. As I mentioned earlier, go check out that TQHA sale Futurity preview I've got if you haven't already. Good luck to everybody this weekend. Another big weekend around the country. Thank y'all for listening.